Good morning and welcome to back to our channel here, Irish Chippy. My name is Pascal and this is episode 7. Today we are going to make up the outer chine. We're going to take out the copper. We're going to sand it down, fair the sides of it, prepare it, cut, get it all just ready for to glass the outer chines on the outside. And that's what we're going to today. What we're going to prepare. So here is our video today. Okay, I have I put 2 coats on the inner chines of it all. I coated here 2 coats of fiberglass, and down here it's a bit ugly. No, it's my first time. I put the 2 coats one after the other, so I was rushing. I was working. I was on my own here yesterday, so I decided to put the second coat on when it got tacky because I don't want it to blush. This one was a little bit messy, but I'm going to put in a kick plate, or what's it called, a kick? Not really a kick bar, but anyway, he says kick bar when he's talking about this area here. He wants fiberglass if there's more than 75 kilo person rowing. This is not a rowboat, but it will have row oars in it. And also this piece is going in here now. Just now I'm going to put this one in here, and this, he says 550 from there to there. But if somebody was taller, I'd say you'd probably put it, well, I think maybe a little bit less or whatever. You could always add a bit onto it. But this is going to support the boat as well. Now there is a little bit of a slope going down here in the boat, so I put a taper on this, slight taper, a couple of millimeters, maybe 2.5 millimeters or 3 millimeters on each side. That's not in the drawing, but it's not a big deal. It'll push this down, it'll hold this down. We won't be screwing this down. We will be gluing it down, and I'll be wedging it down with, I find it very messy stuff. Now it's going down there. It's fine. Well, if you have some stuff left over, I'm coating the plywood, because the plywood is all meant to be coated anyway. I have my line in at 550 millimeters from the aft dwarf. Now obviously it's going to go up now. It has to push down it's going to push down in and push down the chine, the middle chine, only a little weeny bit. There was enough in it. It's definitely more going into it now. Maybe I should have put some Camdesol on it to make it a bit thicker and make more. But there was a lot of it going in. If you're going along and you spill a drip, just rub it. If you get blushing, we're going to be sanding this because I'm not going to glass it straight away. This one. So we're just going to fill some holes along the side then as well. When you have stuff left over, when you have some of this left over, what you do is add it and then start filling some more holes, and then you're saving some epoxy because it's very expensive. Good morning. Good morning. We have the boat turned over now. Everything is set. It's about 1/8 of an inch off twist. So when we're going to do the glassing of this side, we will rectify some of that. We cut off. I done some of them there, but I'll show you what I done. Oh, that broke off. You try and get your little wire cutter, or snip, some people call them, and you try and get that in as tight as you can in there and cut that off. And then what I'm doing is I'm getting a blunt screwdriver. You can use a punch if you like. And we're pushing that below the surface of the wood so you don't end up sanding it. And you don't need to hammer it now. It'll go into, because the hole was 1/8 of an inch, it'll go in easy, but that one is not. That one's been stubborn for me. And then it goes in. It doesn't matter if it digs into the wood a little bit, and then that's free of there. There's a bit of glue sticking up there, but not the. And the same on this one. And on these ones we cut them in here, and these ones underneath here we cut them here and then cut them down here as well. And we need that really out of the way, so when we're sewing this we don't damage the blade, because we're cutting that off. So we'll do that. That's going to take about an hour or so, and then we will be planning to cut this off here. from the front. We don't know what I'm going to use to cut it. I'll probably cut it roughly with the with the jigsaw, and then after that I will plane it down. So I'll get back to you when we've all these stitches taken out. The boat is taking shape now, and looks like a boat now. Okay, I had to leave this for a few days. I didn't do anything here since this third day. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to sand this down. When we fill this here with the mixture of epoxy, wood wool, and cabasol, or whatever you call that stuff, they say it's hard to sand, so we didn't put it in so much. So we will be putting in after, that's what it says in the instructions, after we do the glassing of these, and we coat it all in epoxy, and then we put in 2 strips here, and they're 1 meter long. They're glued down, they are not screwed from behind as far as I can see. What goes on here is, it's called a skeg. The skeg is protruding 75 millimeter, 3 inches, and it's 500 mm long, which is 20 something inches. It says to make it from 29 mm. Over here I have some very good marine 18 mm, which is 3/4 or 3/4, and we will make it from that. It will be tapered around it a little bit. It's being glued on. I think it's being glued on because that if it does break, it won't, if there's screws going through it, it might rip a hole in the bottom of the boat. The purpose of it, I'm not sure. I presume it's to stop the boat going from left to right, what would you call it, yaw. So it's to stop the boat, keeping the boat in a straight line. So a straight line from there down to the dagger board down the other side. And this will probably stop the boat going like this because it's protruding. So it's going to keep the boat straight, I presume. It's also protecting the back of the boat. We might put a stainless steel strip on it. So the next job we're going to do is what everybody loves, what everybody hates in woodworking, and I presume in boat building as well, and that's sanding. And making a boat entails a lot of sanding. You can use electric sander on parts of it, but I think for this part we don't need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fair this. In other words, this is level here. I use one of these block things. I'll give you a link to them if you don't know. I'm sure you can buy them in your local store. We put on the sandpaper. So what we will do is we'll level all this first, like this. Now, when I'm doing this for real, I am wearing one of these respirators. It's 3M29. I'll give you a link to them. I'm using that. I have 3 or 4 of them. I use them all the time. You can get them in 3 different sizes. You don't want to get dust. My father told me that, especially when you're using a lathe or something. Lathe or sanding is very, very fine dust, and that's the worst dust of all. Not like chippings wouldn't be near as bad. So I'm going to fair it all down along like this. I'm only doing this for demo. Actually, there's sandpaper and this is way too fine. And when we've done that, we'll do the top or the bottom of the boat, and we'll do where we've done the butt joints and the front a little bit. I'm also going to make the stem here. So I forgot to tell you that. So we're going to be sanding down today. I'm going to be sanding. I will show you how I make this one. It's just the outer chine. It will be screwed in with epoxy. You're meant to put a bolt through it before you do any more, before you fill in the bulkhead here, the bulkhead I should say. And so we'll make this piece up as well. It's extending about 20 millimeters. I'll be making it from hardwood as well. And we will then, when we've this all sanded down, before we glass, we will bullnose this, or what would you say? You will take the sharp edge off it, maybe do a 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter round over like this. That will be done without the block. It will be done by hand, and it'll be done by eye. So we will, there's a lot of preparation now before. I filled all these, and when we were filling them here, you saw me on the video, we were very careful that we didn't leave so much big lumps on it. And that's really important, because every big lump you leave, you have to sand down again. So I will start doing this now, and I'll be back to you in shortly, and we will continue. We will have the sanding done, and we will start making this piece. Okay, now I'm going to cut the stem, the outer stem, from a piece of hardwood. I'm going to cut it with the bandsaw. Why? Because I have a bandsaw, and for many years I didn't have a bandsaw. Other than that, you'll cut it with the handsaw. I'm cutting it a little bit big. We're going to epoxy it on before the fiberglass. We're going to epoxy it onto the front. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Before we put the fiberglass around it, I'm putting the fiberglass around it. I'm going to screw it in with 2 screws, and I'm going to make up a thick epoxy, and then we're going to leave it, and then I'm going to taper it off afterwards. I'm going to taper it off to almost to a, it says almost to a pint at the water line, and the water line actually is the bottom of the stem according to the drawing there anyway. Well, the real water line when it's full will be up at 4 or 5 inches. So I'm going to just cut this now. I'm not going to wear a mask, but normally you should wear a mask for this. So now I have this made up. That's all I'm going to do with it. When we get it on and it's on, then we'll clean it up smoother than that. Okay, so now I have made up the outer stem. I have not beveled it in yet. I'm going to do that. I'd rather do that with a hand plane when it's already on the boat. I have dry fitted it. I want to dry fit it because I'm working with we're working with epoxy now, and it's messy stuff. So make sure you drill the hardwood here. You don't want to crack it out, and no need to up here. So I made up my epoxy, and I put filler in the epoxy, of course, because it's thick. And we're just going to put it on then, and we're going to leave it. And then tomorrow, before we do the glassing, we will plane this all up, and we will taper it the way best we can, and make it look nice anyway, and nice going through the water. And then we're ready for glassing. So I want this on beforehand. The skeg at the back, no, we put that on after the glass. That's what it says, and the same with the 2 strips. So I'm going to put some of this on here now, this gooey stuff, and I don't like epoxy. I must have said that 100 times over the last years, because I find it, I'm doing woodworking, we don't use epoxy. Well, you can, but when we're doing tight joinery, there's no need for epoxy. So I'm going to make sure it's good and thick on here, so that when I push it in, it'll squeeze out, and then we'll take it off afterwards. I think we will. Yeah, it's fairly flush. I probably put too much on. I left a little bit of room on the top and the bottom for planing off afterwards as well, the end grain. A little turn here, I'm sure I'll find a hole. Yeah, and nice and gently. Now see, I'm holding my hand here. If I hadn't got the glove on me now, I'd be in a total mess altogether. So then we go down the bottom here, and we go back into the same hole. It's nice and tight, the screw, but it was in already before. Now, make sure that everywhere is oozing out. Now, on the very top here, it needs a little bit adjusting there before I tighten this in. Now, not putting one up, I'm not putting one here. Yeah, I think we're fine there. And then down on the top like this. And that's it. And we'll clean it up a little bit more in a few minutes. So you leave that now. You don't touch off it till that sets, and then we will round it off. And it says at the water line it's nearly a pint here. So I have a center line there, which is going to help. It's going to help a lot. It's going to help us to plane it up. So that's it. Now we're going to make sure everything is ready for tomorrow. I'm going to cover it all with one coat of epoxy, and then I'm going to put on the tape, my homemade tape, and then I'm going to put my homemade tape, and then I'm going to, I don't know, I think I'm going to leave it like that, and then when I'm giving this another coat I will sand it down, because it's going to take a lot of epoxy as well, and epoxy is expensive. So you don't use too much of it. So that's the plan for tomorrow, and yeah, that's fine. That's our stem. That's if you run it. Of course, I'm going to fill in these screw holes now as well. So make sure you get the tip in there like this. Make sure it goes right in. And I'll see you in a little while. Okay, so that's the end of episode 7. If you like this video or any of our other videos, please consider subscribing to our channel. And thank you very much for watching.